Are you wearing a rain jacket inside?
Yeah, man, it's a comfortable jacket. I'm also wearing this in support of the biggest robbery we have ever seen
Oh, God.
in the history of this sport. What happened in the last 24 to 48 hours is so totally unprecedented that it's hard to argue to the contrary that Florida State should have been
Oh, I
in
can
the
argue it
play.
all the live long day.
Well, do you like results being decided on the field?
Yes. But so what Carter's talking about, obviously Florida State is left out the college football playoff. Do I believe that Florida State earned, not deserved, earned the right to be in the playoff? Yes. But based off of their criteria of key players being out and that being in the bylaws, Carter, you can't tell me that it's not a big issue.
Yeah.
You cannot convince me, okay, that Jordan Travis not being there is a big issue. I think they got it right. I 1,000%. And look, I hate that. I think it's a no.
But you just said they were deserving.
They were, but there's other. I think Georgia's deserving. If I'm going to be honest with you, and I know this is going to sound like SEC bias, homer BS, I think Georgia's more deserving, in my personal opinion, than Florida State is. They have a tougher strength of record. They have a tougher strength of schedule. And everybody says they play cupcakes all year. Carter, 4 of the last 6 games that Georgia played were against ranked opponents. 4 of them going to either the playoff or New Year's Six Bowl.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm totally open to Georgia being in if we are just basing it off the best teams or who we perceive to be the best teams. But Florida State went undefeated in a Power 5 conference, and the only reason, Blake, that Florida State is not in this playoff is some random North Alabama linebacker landed on the leg of Jordan Travis Funny, and it caused his leg to snap. That is the only reason. That is it. Why do we penalize in a team sport, Blake? You notice we're saying the best team. What better way to describe a team than still getting the job done and winning your final 2 games?
This isn't unprecedented. This has literally happened before. And a team won a national title by doing it.
Okay. And who was
Ohio
that?
State and Cardell Jones literally.
You're making my point. Yes,
no,
you're making my point.
Hold on.
You're making my point.
Hold on. But it's the opposite of why you do it, of why they should have been left out instead of left in. Cardell Jones, the last game that he had before the committee voted, was he threw for 257 yards, 3 touchdowns, and they beat a team 59-0 that was in the top 10.
Okay. And Florida State won their game as well.
Winning and beating a team 59-0 are completely different.
So what you are no, hold on. What you're publicly admitting right now is one game over Northwestern.
I'm not talking about one game.
Yeah, you are.
No, I watched them walk their happy asses against a 5-7 Florida team, and they can't throw the ball for 100 yards. You know, yes. I know, your Meemaw knows that their ass can't walk up into Pasadena, California. They're going to get their cheeks clapped. And you know that.
I don't know that. That's the point. You don't know that.
It's going to be a long show. Hunker down.
You don't know that, though.
I do know that.
You don't know that. You don't.
You know how I know that? You know how I know that? Because they can't throw for 100 yards against Florida and Louisville combined. Carter, okay. Ohio State, when they did it in 2014, scored more points against Wisconsin than Brock Glenn had passing yards in a game against Louisville. Think about that for a minute.
But so basically, this entire sport, a multi-billion-dollar enterprise, comes down to how good your backup quarterback is. Is that what you really want? Do you really want to tell every single player in that Florida State locker room that you're not worth a shit? The only person that matters is your.
Nobody is saying that.
That's essentially what happened, though. That is essentially what happened.
One person
Everything you did not matter.
Carter, go out there and tell me and show me one person that's saying anybody on Florida State's team that you're just a piece of shit. Show me somebody that doesn't believe that Florida State is not deserving. Nobody is saying that.
But me telling them, but them hearing that they're deserving, if Braden Fisk or Jared Verse was sitting right next to me right now, Blake, and I told them, hey, guess what? You're deserving, but you're not exactly in. You did everything you needed to do. You went undefeated.
I was the final finalist for my wife. There were probably other dudes that were going to ask her to be their wife too. I'm the one that came out on top because I was better looking.
First off, all due respects to Megan, she could have done better. She could have done better.
All I'm saying is you could make the argument that you're doing the exact same thing to Alabama. You can I bring?
No, you're not. No,
yes,
you
are.
Not. Oh, okay. Here's the thing. Here's the thing with Alabama. Here's the thing. All right.
You hate Alabama, so you don't want them in there. That's what's going on.
No. Okay. If Coy Moore could catch a punt and if Auburn could have defended a 4th and 31, a less than 1% chance win probability, if they could have defended that one play is what put Alabama over the top. But it wasn't just that. It was barely getting by 4-8 Arkansas. It was barely getting by USF. Look, I would say Alabama would deserve to be in if they were so unquestionably good the rest of the season. But they were not. They were not. Now, if this was Alabama with Deron Payne mixed with freaking Devonta Smith, if it was that type of team, then yes, all the power to it. It was just one hiccup versus a team that's in the playoff. But it's not as if this Alabama team was unquestionably dominant the rest of the way. They were not. They were very lucky to stay by teams that weren't good.
Florida State?
They were undefeated.
Did you watch Florida State versus Boston College?
They won 31-29 in a rainy kind of red bandana rivalry game.
Alabama didn't play any kind of bad games like that. Oh wait, that's right, South Florida.
Yes. So this is a difference, Blake, and it might be hard to comprehend. So this is a difference. Is Florida State didn't lose. They didn't lose once.
Hold on.
That should count for something.
Hear me out. Losses and wins are created differently on teams that you play. Let me explain.
Okay.
Who is the best team that Florida State played all year?
The best team.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably say at this point, LSU. I would.
LSU.
Okay.
What if I told you that's the third best team that Alabama played? Or you can make the case it's the fourth best team that they played.
Yeah.
Okay. Texas, which they lost. Georgia, Ole Miss, LSU. Is that fair?
Yeah, very fair.
Okay, that's fair. So you would have to go to the fifth team that Florida State, which is the best win that they have, is Alabama's fifth game that they played in their year. It's not created equally. So if I tell you, okay, Georgia, Texas, Ole Miss, and LSU, it's not created equally. Losing one of those games is not created equally. We look at the loss as, oh my God, but they lost. But I can turn around and say the ACC is the weakest Power 5 conference, arguably, in the country.
Yeah. So what
team that they played was Clemson. So
right.
When I look at that and you say, okay, well, they didn't lose. Okay, well, then every win that Alabama does have, the other four wins have to also account.
Yeah, and they should. And it should count for the number 5 ranking. Because, look, the truth here is not only did Florida State play the ACC, which was down, I would agree with you, right? I would also point out that they scheduled 2 very good, historically strong non-Power 5 teams in LSU and Florida. It's not their fault that Florida is on a complete downturn right now. It's not their fault that LSU had no defense whatsoever, but they went undefeated in a Power 5 conference play.
It's not any different than when Alabama plays Texas in the beginning of the year, that they actually find a way to be better and make a playoff.
It got a little.
Everybody looks at the ACC versus the SEC, right? Like their matchups. 2 of the. Did he just leave? What just happened here? What just happened? Can you hear me? Hello?
Wait, what happened? I don't know what
can
happened.
You see me now?
Yeah, I can.
What just?
I don't know.
What's going on over there, John Cena?
I don't know. I was about to get.
You know what's happening? The Lord's telling us to move on. That's probably what's happening.
That's fine. Here. This will be my final thing. Okay. If you were in Florida State's spot, and
I kill somebody.
Exactly.
But I'm not in their spot.
Right. So that's part of being objective here, right? I would be I wouldn't be able to overcome it, right? Especially considering, and you and I have been discussing this privately today, how some Florida State's fans feel about the powers that be speaking about them, and seeing the things that Jordan Travis said. Well, if I would have broke my leg sooner,
that's so heartbreaking.
That's tough. And look, I understand that there will be many that say, well, you're arguing over something silly because everything's going to change next year, and everybody will.
Passionate over something. We can argue about it, whatever in the hell we want to.
I will say this, because I'm a huge believer of keeping the playoff at 4, if not 6. Okay.
But now
now it's going to be 12. Right.
Well, now you kind of have to.
Yeah. So this is the good thing about it, is the public perception of the playoff has forever shifted, and the timing couldn't have been better for the 12-team playoff format. And that to me is the biggest story, because the narrative, Blake, going into this year was, man, we have too many teams in the playoffs, right? The playoff semifinals normally suck. Last year they were really good, obviously, but normally they're not good games. But now that we truly have felt that somebody was truly wronged by being left out, the powers that be got exactly what they want, because now the people that were on the fence about a 12-team format, they're radicalized into thinking, well, we got to do it now because we got to make sure everybody gets in, which is flawed logic. But that to me is so huge moving forward for the sport.
The last point I was trying to make earlier too, just to
go ahead.
Wrap it up on a bow. I don't care that the SEC is 6-4 against the ACC, because there were years, all right, where the SEC was like 8-2 against the ACC, and Clemson got in and was the number 1 seed over teams like Georgia and Alabama. Just throwing that up. So if you're going to keep that same logic and energy, keep that same logic and energy. All right,
yeah.
We do have a couple of super chats. American Patriot with a $199 super chat says Carter's 100% correct.
AP's
and
my
Dane
guy.
Bergeron says that he hopes that the ACC officiating crew does the Michigan-Bama game. You know what I was going to ask you? Hold on really quickly before we move on. Let me ask you this. We look at Bama as the only team that surpassed Florida State. Like Bama, it seems, and again, let me just make this preference. I hate Alabama. Carter, I hate Alabama.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
I'm not trying. Yeah. I feel disgusting having to defend them. I'm not defending them crazy toothless sons of bitches. All I'm just saying is I'm just trying to call it like I see it. But why are we only pointing at Alabama as the bad guy here when Texas also has a loss?
Yeah, and that's the weird thing about it, Blake, is a good chunk of Texas's argument was helped by Alabama beating Georgia, right? There are so many different scenarios that I would have loved to have seen played out, Blake, such as what if Georgia would have won? Then Texas is still getting in over Florida State. They could have made the same argument would have been made. So you're right. It's important to point out that Texas also got this same privilege, if you will. But look, Texas is you look at their loss. Their loss happened on the final drive of the game versus a 10-2 Oklahoma team. So the playoffs is going to be great. And look, I would also say that Alabama would be favored over Florida State by multiple scores if they played.
Yeah, it'd be at minimum a 14-point line, but that doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter. But
it doesn't matter, right? So I'm looking forward to the playoff and looking to see if Nick can get it done.
Yeah, and look, it's going to be nuts if it's a rematch between them and Texas. And look, I talked about this on Ruffino and Joe's show just really quickly. Bro, this game with Washington is the worst matchup Texas could have. Everybody Carter, I keep hearing from people, oh, well, they got this guy from Louisiana in their secondary. Carter, they're 96th. Where is it? They're 94th in the country in passing yards allowed. That secondary is horrible. So is Washington. Texas. But Texas' secondary is horrible. All right. Matt House going to get fired or what?
As the day moves on, Blake, it looks like there's a good chance he'll get retained.
Or at least going to be able to look for another job before he's told to move on.
Right. Like it's a weird thing because one thing that was blown up with me is why in the heck is he still out there recruiting if he's going to be kept? Well, you're still under contract by the school. It's your job, right? So that doesn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of things. Would I have liked to have already seen him been fired at this point? I would. I do think there needs to be a change there. And look, it's not all his fault, but it's an issue, and I think they do need to move in a different direction. And if they were to keep him, they're going to need to move some assistants around to bring in some new blood.
Well, and look, the number one coach, and we talked about him last week, was Corey Raymond. I don't think Corey Raymond fits the style of what Matt House wants to do. Like if you go there, I mean, it's a completely different system. That's not the guy schematically that you want to come in and teach zone coverage. He's not a zone coverage guy.
Yeah, and also Blake, for the Corey Raymond thing, I just don't know if it's a good fit with how things happened just a few years ago. So, I don't know. I mean, I go back to this when it comes to being the LSU defensive coordinator. This is a premier job. This is not Oklahoma State replacing their defensive coordinator. This is not Oregon State replacing their defensive coordinator. This is a destination job. This is where defensive coaches want to be. This is where you can get the elite guys to play in your style of defense. This is where you can compete for national championships. It's one of the 5 to 10 schools that you legitimately can do it year after year after year. And there is no reason for Scott Woodward and Brian Kelly to settle for anything less than a middle-of-the-pack ranked defense. And LSU just did not do anything well defensively. There was nothing. So you can't settle for mid when you're elite.
Does it worry you that Brian Kelly was so adamant about not wanting to have to go in the portal for DBs, and yet here we are again having to go in the portal for DBs? The Gilbert kid went in, the Brown kid went in, and you're going to have to go get some D linemen from the portal. I mean, you're just going to have to. So you surprised, he said he didn't want to do this in year 3, and here we are probably going to take 8 to 10 guys, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Blake, when the Relaford news drops on Friday, he announced he's going to come in on Friday. They're also going to have more high school recruits than they had last year. So for those that think it's just going to be another portal year, he's bringing in a huge high school recruiting class.
Carter, wouldn't it be the biggest high school recruiting class from a number standpoint that we've ever had?
Yeah, if a few other dominoes fall, it'll be around 28, 29, like 30 guys at the absolute maximum. But Relaford would be the 27th high school recruit, and you still got to go get guys out of the portal. I'm very interested in Jordan Gilbert. I liked him coming out of U High. He wasn't, he's not the biggest guy, but he's a good football player. Not the best.
6 foot. I mean, he's not little either.
Yeah, and look, we know he can play, right? That would at least be someone you can rotationally bring in and come back to, the homeschool team. So obviously, him being U High, Baton Rouge, it would truly be a homecoming for him.
Surprised that more moves haven't been made offensively. Guys like Denbrock and Sloan and Cortez. You surprised that they're still around this? I won't say late in the game, but I mean, Carter, other than Mike Denbrock and the Houston connection, which obviously they're going Willie Fritz, you hadn't been hearing a lot of chatter around LSU. Now, that doesn't mean that it's not going to happen tomorrow or, it hadn't been a lot of chatter either way. Surprised by that?
A little. I could see Denbrock getting looked at by an NFL team. I could. NFL's a copycat league. Tom Monken was, the hot rising NFL coordinator and my college coordinator last year, and now he's in the NFL. You could see someone do the same thing with Mike Denbrock. Obviously, Mike Denbrock's in Little Rock right now, getting ready for the Broyles Award. So,
right.
So hopefully he wins that. But yeah, I mean, I'm a little shocked. But then again, if you're Mike Denbrock, what better place to be than where you are right now, right? The big benefit of being a coordinator and an assistant coach at a school like LSU, that's kind of like the defensive coordinator thing, is you're making a salary that most head coaches make elsewhere, right? Like there are some Sunbelt coaches that are head coaches that make what Cortez Hankton makes annually. So you get it is so good to be an assistant coach at a school like LSU and it's not just an LSU thing. So I think there is a lot of benefit of just staying put if you're a position coach at LSU.
Surprised that you're seeing a lot of these QBs hit the portal, like Kyle McCord at 5 a.m. He was in the portal.
Not at all, Blake. I was kind of shocked that we didn't see more of it last year. It makes absolutely no sense if you are a starting quarterback at the Power 5 level to not put your name at least in the portal, even if you don't have any desire to leave. You don't know how many QB desperate teams that are out there that'll
There's
be willing.
A lot, buddy. There's a lot
that will be willing to pay you to come play at their university. This does not shock me at all, Blake, at all, especially considering two things. A good bit of the very successful quarterbacks we have seen at the highest level here are transfer guys. Obviously, the three guys that are in New York City, one of our very own, they're all transfer quarterbacks. And also something else that we've seen, Blake, is there are a lot of quarterbacks who stay put and regress, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most quarterbacks that actually take that leap of faith and go to another room and compete and win a new job, that makes you stronger and that makes you better as a player. So I also think if there are QBs out there, they might be thinking, well, maybe it's the transfer itself that does me good in my own personal development as well. So you look at some of the quarterbacks, Blake, that stayed put. They had massive regressions, right? Obviously, two in the SEC that come to mind is Will Rogers fell off a cliff, and KJ Jefferson fell off a cliff. And it's not all their fault. It was a new system. Their offensive linemen weren't as good as they were the year before. But
Will Rogers going to Washington.
Is that a thing now?
That's the thing. Washington is the big because of the air raid and stuff that they run. To be honest with you, Penix does not. I mean, Penix got a big arm. Penix also throws some ducks.
Yeah, I mean, Blake, this past weekend was the first time I really sat down and watched the Washington offense. They are so well put together. Their run game is really underrated, and their receivers
they just found a running back that can actually do something. They could not run the football at all, probably for the first 10 weeks of the year. That kid's got like 600 yards in the last 4 games. It's ridiculous.
I just couldn't believe that that they were as good as they were. I didn't think like that was the first time I sat first play to the last play.
Right.
They're so well coached. They're so well put together. But let me ask you a question.
All right.
From an LSU perspective, and I'll put this question up on the Power Hour LSU Twitter account. Do you go get another quarterback if you're LSU?
No question.
You have to.
You have to.
Okay.
Because look, here's the truth. A lot of people labeled me as, and look, quarterback play, if there's one thing that I've gotten damn near perfectly right at LSU or doing AYS, it's been quarterback play. Everybody on the Miles Brennan hype train, we go to camp and everybody's like, Miles Brennan's got the biggest arm. I'm like, guys, he's not able to hit the broadside of a barn. My dude is more inaccurate than your best friend that's trying to pick up hose at the bar room. Inaccurate, bad. Couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. All right. And then, like, so I'll never forget this. I did a show before Jaden Daniels committed on purpose, sourcing, okay, saying that the kid was coming in. And everybody was telling me, bench him for Nuss, bench him for Nuss, bench him for Nuss. And I'm like, guys, what he's doing with his legs, I get you want him to throw the ball down the field. If he puts it all together, the kid's going to win a Heisman. Carter, I bet $100 at plus 4,000 for Jaden to win the Heisman.
Oh, let's go.
Cha-ching. Okay. Dollar bills, y'all. I'm going to the strip club. But the bottom line is Garrett Nussmeier was not ready in 2022 until the end because he got developed. Now, and you know what, Carter? You know what bugs the shit out of me? Can I tell you what bugs the shit out of me? You got people on this beat saying when he comes in against Alabama, they're like, oh, well, if he doesn't get more accurate, we're going to have to.
Oh, yeah, that pissed me off. I mean, that
pissed me off. I'm like, guys, you got to let quarterbacks take time to develop. We can't be in this microwave society all the time when it comes to quarterbacks. But, and all that being said, Ricky Collins, I said all that to say Ricky Collins is not ready, okay? I think he will be ready in 2 years. He's not ready right now. And you got to go get a guy that if God forbid Garrett Nussmeier goes down, that you can plug in and play right now. Look, you got to do it, Carter, based on solely what just happened with Florida State.
Exactly. That was going to be what I brought up next. And this proved once again at the collegiate level, the second most important player on your team, unless he is truly a Malik Neighbors transcendent level talent, is always going to be your backup quarterback. You got to have someone in there that you feel comfortable with, right? And at this point, I'm not sure if everyone feels totally comfortable with Ricky Collins. And if you are LSU, even if you are comfortable with Ricky Collins, you should listen to see if quarterbacks are willing to jump in a room with this much talent in it. And if they want to take that leap, and
that tells you something about you.
Right. And that yeah, if obviously I saw the go hard or go home, but
I'll just read it. He says, unpopular opinion, go harder, pause, or go home on YouTube with a $5 super chat. Says, unpopular opinion, I don't think BK is as high on us as most LSU fans think he is. Not true. BK wants a mobile quarterback. MJ Morris isn't coming here to sit. I agree with him on that last part, but I don't think that he's just. You know what, Carter? He would have fought for Howard, yes. Walker Howard, and let Nussmeier walk if he wasn't high on him, right? I mean, like we're not.
No, I feel.
Go ahead.
I feel pretty comfortable saying Brian Kelly likes Garrett Nussmeier a lot. Yeah. I feel pretty comfortable saying that. But I don't think BK's going to love where his quarterback room is, because it always felt so good to have Garrett Nussmeier as a backup with proven film as an explosive backup quarterback with what he did versus Georgia. It's not just the fact that you feel comfortable as a coach, it's just your team feels comfortable, right? You know, when I got to spend some time with Jeray Jenkins last offseason at a card show, right? And Jeray just talked about like how at ease he was with Garrett as the backup, like how good that felt having that. Now, it's not to say that the team doesn't feel that way about Ricky Collins, but Garrett proving something on the field was very important for everyone in that orbit. So I like Garrett Nussmeier as a starter next year, but I am open to hearing anybody that wants to come in and compete to be the backup or potentially win the job. I will tell you this, though. Garrett Nussmeier is a fighter. That guy has gone through a lot already as an LSU QB, and he truly is a competitor. So I think he's also open to someone else trying to come take his job, which would be very hard to do at this point.
Last question. I'll get you out of here. Jaden Daniels. I mean, like, this is over, right? Heisman?
Yeah, he will win. I think at this point, obviously the betting markets make you feel a lot better.
Minus 1,400. I mean, that's such a big gap, man.
Right. I would, though, Blake, and I know this is going to sound just wild. I truly would have liked to have seen Bo Nix win just to see how far we have moved as a society when it comes to actually judging individual talent, right? Because what Bo Nix did on Friday had no bearing on the award anyway, right? For me, is that Jaden Daniels statistically had a better season than any other Heisman winner of the modern era, maybe outside of Joe Burrow. They were the only two that average over 400 yards. Everybody's seen the stats at this point. So,
yeah, if you hadn't seen it, go to Pressing Guy's Twitter. He retweets it like every 30 minutes.
Every 2 seconds, right? And I know I've spammed a lot of people. Got a lot of weird looks at an Arkansas game with the Jaden Daniels.
I saw that.
I did. I'm doing whatever I can to get this guy this award. And look, Jaden was like you and I. He's obviously very nervous. Going. I mean, this is the biggest individual award you can win in sports.
He's J. Cool, man.
I hope.
I talked to some people around him today. Because he's not in Baton Rouge or wasn't in Baton Rouge, and I said, I just asked the person I was talking to. I was like, who obviously has known him his entire life, and I was like, listen, how's Jay? And he goes, man, cooler than Friday night. After that, rap. Jay cool, man. Look, Carter. I'm not saying it should be unanimous. No Heisman's ever been unanimous, but for me, it's over. Like this kid, that kid. So. Carter, did you see this? Did you see I tweeted out #retire5 and people were like, no, you can't retire number 5. It's too swaggy. The number
5 is swaggy though. That's
number 5 and number 9 should be retired right now.
But Blake, it's that single digit.
I don't give 2 flying shits.
It's a single digit. It's a thing.
Is number 20 retired? Yeah.
Yeah, number 20. Yeah, Billy Cannon.
Nobody will ever wear number 9 again, nor should they. And the truth is, here's the truth. And I'm going to look in the camera when I say this. Any of you think that Jaden Daniels' number should not be retired after winning the Heisman, you're a damn fool. You're a damn fool.
Oh, here's the thing about that is I've gotten to know quite a few people on the 07 team. They still want 72 retired for
retired.
Retire. Okay. Yeah, I agree.
Here's the thing though. He didn't win the Heisman.
No, he didn't. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's
he's gonna have a statue.
Yeah, give him a statue.
He's gonna have a statue. You can't. I mean, you give Billy Cannon one. That man, was a con artist at the end.
Well, you see, Wait, is that someone named Ingrid? I'm an Ingrid. Am I saying that Ingrid? It's number 9 retired. Yeah, it is in theory.
Yeah, it is in theory, but it's not official. If somebody ran out there and wore number 9. Now, here's the truth: if anybody in the country on LSU's team, football wise, wore number 9, they'd probably get shot. I mean, they'd probably get shot. John Wilkes Booth would be in the stadium that day. I mean.
So what? Dylan Cruz needs his jersey retired.
The guy that killed Abe Lincoln.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But we got Dylan Cruz. So you still want Dylan Cruz retired,
Hell
right?
yeah.
So I
Dylan
think
Cruz might be the best LSU position player ever.
So what about Paul Skeens? Should we retire number 20?
He was here for 1 year, but you're not gonna like my answer.
No, I think it should
retire it and put it in gold plated. Put it gold plated, real 24 karat gold. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. Paul Skeens should be retired.
Carter. He won the Heisman.
Yeah, he won
am I wrong here? Am I wrong? Retire number 5.
5, 3, and 20 for baseball, obviously. So
I'm not 5.
No, 3 and 20 for baseball, 5 for football,
and number 9.
And number 9 for football. I'm down. I do think this though. As far I'm a big jersey number snob, and I know how popular the single digit number is in college football.
I will say 0. Be new.
Here's what I would say is I don't think you should get a single digit number in college football unless you've proven something. That I've always, because Deion Sanders said that before this pass. I've always been that way.
Well, Deion, Deion's in trouble.
Yeah, but that was one thing I agreed with him on. Prove me something that you deserve a single digit. Now I'm gonna leave you on a cliffhanger because I'm just gonna put this out there. By next Monday, there's one player I have always loved. He will be an LSU Tiger next season, and you know exactly who I'm talking about. But I do have to go. We're doing burgers tonight, so. Let's go.
Interesting. Cliffhanger. Usually I'm the ones living cliffhanger.